Hi, my name is Robert. This video is designed to give you step-by-step detailed instructions on completing the task at hand. Please read the comments in the About section of this video. It has valuable information and updates. My YouTube channel has a disclaimer video that I encourage you to watch. And please like, share, and subscribe. I hope you found what you're looking for. Thank you very much for watching. In this video, I'm going to replace the fuel pump on this 740 Volvo. It's pretty quick and easy. What you want to do is, of course, disconnect the battery or make sure nobody can hit the ignition on you. You want to jack the car up so you can get under it. Once you get under it, you want to take the fuel pump carriage assembly loose, take the brackets off the fuel pump, take the bolt off the front of the fuel pump, disconnect the hose off the back of the fuel pump, unplug the two leads, slide the fuel pump assembly out, slide the replacement one in, and then reverse that procedure, and it should be good to go. Now this vehicle, I believe most of these have two fuel pumps. They have a fuel pump in the fuel tank that primes the fuel system, and then the main fuel pump is under the car, kind of located under the driver's seat. So let's get started. Jack the car up as high as comfortable for you, as high as you need to. Then you come under the car, like I said, kind of under the driver's seat. You'll see the fuel pump carriage. You'll see the fuel pump and the fuel filter. The first thing I do is unplug the electrical leads on the fuel pump. You squeeze the tabs on the end and you wiggle them out, pull them straight out, and that'll disconnect the electrical leads from it. So you grab it, you might use needle nose pliers, you pinch those in and unplug it. So I got both of those unplugged. The next thing I'm going to do is break this bolt loose on the fuel filter. Now I do have a filter. I'm going to replace it in a few days. So be careful you don't damage that thin fuel line that runs between the pump and the filter. Now here's the replacement pump I got from the salvage yard. If you want, you can reach inside that carriage up there and take this bolt loose. I'm not sure what it is, a 15 or whatever, but I think it's easier to take this one loose and change the filter at the same time. And this one is actually a 19 millimeter. After that bolt's loose, you want to come back here, and I think it's easier to take the fuel hose off of the fuel line that's back a little bit toward the fuel pump. So I pull that whole assembly out by taking that loose. I think it's a T25. Yeah, I have that clamp loose on this car. That was actually a Phillips tip screw instead of a Torx. With the front of the filter still connected and that hose back there still connected, I'm going to remove the two screws that hold the bracket for the fuel pump. So that's the bracket on the replacement fuel pump unit that I'm now taking loose. So they're both 10 millimeter bolts. I'm going to go ahead and unscrew those two bolts. Now I'm not sure why, but the bolt toward the passenger side of the car, I had to put a 10 millimeter wrench on the other side of it because it was turning. But the one on the driver's side of the car screwed out without securing it on the other side. Now that that's loose, that pump assembly is ready to come out. So I'm going to get pliers. I'm going to break the seal on the back of that fuel line and unplug it. And just in case it starts leaking fuel, I have a pan under it that'll catch the fuel. Then I'm going to pull this bolt off of the front of this filter and pull it out so that I can work the fuel pump forward and out of that carriage assembly. So now I just work the fuel pump and that hose out of the front of the car, and that is the old assembly. Looks like the original pump and the hose and all that jazz. Very little fuel came out of that line. I'd say less than an ounce. Now the one I got out of the junkyard looks like a newer pump. It is a Bosch pump, and maybe it's been replaced once, I don't know. But if you just have the pump, Now you can put 2 wrenches on here, take that fuel line off. If for some reason you damage that fuel line, it's no big deal. It's only like $7 or $8 brand new. And then you can swap over this hose onto the fuel pump. But I just think it's easier to disconnect it down at that end and disconnect it at the filter to replace it. I recommend whenever you're changing the fuel pump that you do the filter as well. So what you want to do is go back up under here and take the bolt out of the back of the filter right there and unscrew it. Now when you take the fuel pump and the filter off, you should have 2 brass washers, and those brass washers should be on both sides of the fuel line. So you got a brass washer on this side and a brass washer on that side. So if I grab that bolt, there's that brass washer, and it's best to put new brass washers on there. Okay, there's a bracket that holds the fuel filter in. That bracket actually has the nut that holds that fuel pump bracket on the top side of it. That's why I didn't have to put a wrench on it. Not sure if you can see that or not, but trying to let you see that nut on that bracket. So take the fuel filter out, work the new one in, connect the back of that fuel filter. Now next we're going to install the fuel pump. So now that I have the fuel pump assembly together, you see it has a bracket that holds it. It's got a Torque or a Phillips on that side. You take that loose, slide the old fuel pump out, slide the new one in. Now I'm ready to slide this in and attach it to the car. Now you got a bolt there, and you have 1 or 2 of those bolts on the other side. They look like 12 or 13 millimeter. So go ahead and take those bolts loose. The bolt on the driver's side that go in the filter clamp is a bear to get lined up and in. So I don't know if you want to do that one first or whatever. I got those bolts in. I got the bolt on the front of the oil filter tight. I got the line back here going into the fuel tank tight. So I'm going to go ahead and see if the car will fire up. And that's how you change the fuel pump. Okay, I got my buddy Jay here with me. Hey Jay, he's going to cut the car off and on 3 or 4 times to prime the fuel system. And then he's going to try to fire it up. So
there's 1.
All right, go ahead.
There's 2.
I hear a buzzing sound. Hopefully it's this fuel pump.
There's 3.
It's definitely the fuel pump.
Okay, starting right now.
All right, we're going to try to fire it up. All right, go ahead, give it another shot. How about that, baby? Listen to that sucker purr. Ain't been started in 6 years. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.